And then you got a claim in the Gulf. Ken's got a check for you in 48 hours in the Gulf. Think he can't? Think Ken. The claimant here to test that, and Ken. Well, you heard in the Gulf, let Ken fill the Gulf because you got a claim. Give Ken 48 hours and he'll cut a check that fast. Gulf payouts are Ken Feinberg getting to work in the Gulf and promising to get those checks out to those who need him in the Gulf pronto. George Barisich is a shrimper who has filed a claim but remains very skeptical about Feinberg's payout model. He's the president of the United Commercial Fishermen's Association. So here you've got right now a plan to get payment out to you pronto. You don't buy it?
Well, basically, it's what they talked about before. It's your 6-month assessment, and they're going to give it to you, or they're going to give it to you, so to speak.
Yeah.
We don't know the formula, and if it's so low, if they want to take off just your net profit, well, that's not fair.
George, have you submitted a claim already?
We already submitted a claim way back when, and we got the $5,000 for the first 2 months,
right,
as they originally agreed, for 6 months, and all of a sudden they slashed it, and now they come up with this plan.
And how does this plan differ, George?
Don't know. Nobody knows.
Oh, I see.
Nobody knows. That's the problem. If they're going to do what they're
you have to prove damages beyond the $5,000 you originally got. Then I would assume, right?
Well, basically, they took all your records, and I don't mind producing tax records and catch records, but just because I didn't show a profit, you have to understand, well, that much of a profit, we're still recovering from Katrina. I had $750,000 business loss for Katrina. So everything I'm putting back to rebuild my company, that doesn't mean I didn't make it. You understand?
I understand. So, George, when you got the first $5,000, what had you requested?
Well, that was in the initial talks we had way back with BP people. Give us something. Give us something against our final settlement to keep us afloat. And they just threw a $5,000 figure out there.
Oh, so it was like a blank fee or fund. It wasn't really based on anything, but here's
just an estimate of what will get you, keep you afloat until something. That's why it was supposed to be for 6 months at $5,000 and then reassess it. But they're constantly changing, good or bad, we don't know.
How much do you think you're out in realistic terms right now, whether you can prove it or not, to Ken Feinberg's satisfaction?
Well, Ken Feinberg's satisfaction and mine is 2 worlds apart. And I was fortunate. I was able to go shrimping right in between of all this because it was closed and it opened, and I was catching a couple $1,000s a day worth of shrimp. So for 38 days times 2, that's about
$76,000
just on that one. Then it's closed for another 33 days, and that's not counting my oysters.
So you have proof of when you were getting the $2,000 a day prior to all this, right? So that should be relatively easy to just, extend by the number of days you couldn't do it by what you were making prior. That should not be a big hill to climb.
To me, that's not a big hill to climb. But if they want to reach back for, let's say, up to 2009, well, the prices of 2009 were less than half what they are now. You can't go by a 2009 price in a 2010 year. So there's production that we do not have because the shrimp are dead and gone at a 2010 price, which we no longer have because the price has dropped down to 1/3 what it was in June. I went out the other day, got $2.15 a pound in June. 4 days ago, I got $1.30 a pound for the same shrimp. So there's less shrimp and less price per pound. Not a good equation.
Has anyone had a whisper figure they've shared with you over which Ken Feinberg won't go?
I don't think we reached that point yet.
Really?
I think once Mr. Feinberg starts seeing exactly how much money, and each claim is going to be separate, an individual, start seeing how much he's talking about, I think he's going to have to reach back like he promised to do. They said BP would come up with more if they had to. Well, they're going to have to come up with a little more because I think the way they're looking at it is totally inequitable, for what you're doing to us. And it's not just a check, understand? Right. Look what you're putting us through. So if you pay me for this possible 3 years and it comes back in 2 shrimp per se, I win. But if it don't come back in 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, I'll lose. This is a game, it's a crapshoot, so to speak. Now the oysters is totally different. I'm gonna lose 3 years at least. So the oyster is a different ballgame. It's going to be hard for any oyster farmer to make a settlement, unless it's real big.
Yeah. We'll watch closely, George. You hang in there, okay?
Well, I go back selling my T-shirts, and now I'm doing something on the side, so I'm okay for right now.
You seem like a very resourceful guy. Be well, okay?
Take care. Thank you. Thank you for keeping it in the forefront.